gotta make sure there are enough seats out there. Good morning. Welcome. My name is Elaine Gagliardi, and it is my privilege as Dean of the University of Montana's Alexander Blewett III School of Law to welcome you to the Law School's 114th hooding and commencement ceremony. I want to thank U.S. Magistrate Judge Katie DeSoto and President Seth Bodner of the University of Montana for joining us and taking part in our graduation ceremonies today. Today, we honor the class of 2025. We honor you for your diligent study of law, for your demonstrated commitment to serving others, and for the energy you will devote to implementing and improving our system of justice and our world. We have a tradition at the law school to give those who are leaving a clap out. Parents, spouses, partners, children, family, faculty, and friends of the class of 2025. Please stand and join me in clapping out and congratulating the law class of 2025. Today, you move from 3Ls to graduates and alums, and in doing so, you did not take this journey alone. Look to your left and to your right. Look in front of you and behind you, and at all those who are in this room to be with you today, your family, partners, and friends. The journey from the beginning of 1L to the end of 3L happened as part of a community where each member of the law class of 2025 contributed to make our school a vibrant, caring, and compassionate place to live and learn. And it was especially all those things while you were here. Thank you for the energy and enthusiasm you brought to honoring and reimagining our law school traditions that make us a community. Thank you for making those traditions yours and doing them your way. The law school and those who come after you will benefit from your kindnesses, ingenuity, and leadership that each of you has contributed. Your actions have defined our school as a place where we care. We care for our community, for justice, and for a world where future generations thrive. Studies show, or have shown, that health and happiness depends on relationships and being part of a community. My uncle Alex George, who is a graduate of this law school many years ago, would remind me often that in giving to my community, I would always receive more in return than what I gave. You, the law class of 2025, have given a great deal during your 3 years here at Montana's Law School to make this community a vibrant place to be each day. And in return, I believe this community has sustained you as you completed your journey through law school. The law school community and the journey of the members of the class of 2025 has also been enriched by the support and encouragement of each of you who have traveled here today to celebrate the achievements of these graduates. It is important for us to pause so that we may show our appreciation for everyone in this room who has worked each day of the last 3 years to support these graduates. I ask the graduating class of 2025 to stand and express with applause your gratitude to the family and friends who are here to celebrate with you. At the beginning of today's ceremony, it's important to read the law school's land acknowledgement. The law school is on the traditional lands of indigenous peoples, the Salish, Xanka, and Gillespie peoples, as well as the Blackfeet, Nez Perce, Shoshone, Bannock, and Coeur d'Alene, had and continue to have a crucial presence in the area. We acknowledge the role the legal system has played in the removal of indigenous peoples from these lands, and through our commitment to education, service, and scholarship, strive to improve the quality of justice for future generations. Doing so demands respect for tribal sovereignty and indigenous cultures, as well as accountability to the needs and perspectives of indigenous people, who from time immemorial to the present and until the end of time, protect and remain connected with this land on which we gather, live, learn, and work. One of our law school commencement ceremonies traditions is an honor song to recognize the accomplishment of today's law graduates. I am pleased to welcome Benji Headswift to the stage to perform the honor song. I ask that each of you stand if you are able and remove your hats.
Hey, te uomo yo, hey, oh, hey, oh, oh, se, ajo, esto va, no te uomo, hey, ave, esto va, nave, sheno, te uomo yo, hey, oh,
Thank you for that tribute. This year, we have a special addition to our program. A member of our third-year class has graciously volunteered to sing the national anthem. I am pleased to welcome your classmate, McKenna Hansen, to the stage. Please stand if you are able.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much, McKenna. I would like to introduce our stage party, beginning at my left, your far right, Director of Admissions, Mary Althauser, Assistant Dean of Students, Katie Stack, former Assistant Dean of Students, Charity Atterbury, Professor Jonathan Byington, U.S. Magistrate Katie DeSoto, President of the University of Montana, Seth Bodner, and the law school's registrar, Caleb Logan. At this time, I invite Dean Stack and Atterbury to present the student awards.
From the beginning of their journey at the Alexander Blewett III School of Law until now, each member of the class of 2025 has explored the ever-forward movement of the law with the utmost intellectual curiosity and hard work. In doing so, they have demonstrated integrity of character and a commitment to compassionate service.
different, sorry. Slight. Today we celebrate and express gratitude to each of these students for that hard work and commitment to your law school career, your classmates, the legal profession, this community, and the world outside our community. And yes, to caring for yourselves, your families, and one another. You have made an indelible impact on this law school, and this place is, we are, better because of your presence here.
It is our honor to share with you today the names of those in the class of 2025 who have exemplified the characteristics that imbue the terms counselor and advocate with the noblest of purposes and intentions. As we read the names of the award recipients, we ask each recipient to stand.
John P. Aker, a beloved graduate and law professor at the University of Montana, sadly died at the early age of 37. The John P. Aker Award was established by his classmates to recognize outstanding achievement. I am confident that Professor Aker would have been privileged to know and teach Randy Kesey.
The Edward A. Kremer Award was established by Elise Kremer in memory of her son, Andrew Kremer, and his father, Edward Kremer. The Edward Kremer Award recognizes the best research paper in the field of environmental law. This year's award is shared by Sarah Yarlett and Sapphire Carter.
The Dean's Award is given each year by the Dean of the School of Law in recognition of outstanding student leadership. This year, we're pleased to recognize Noah Gibson, President and effective leader of the Student Bar Association.
The Dean's Community Building Award is a new award given by the Dean of the Law School in recognition of outstanding community building between the School of Law and the greater legal community. These students served as a strong liaison to attorneys and law students nationally and spearheaded the biggest national moot court competition our school has seen. This year, we are pleased to recognize Erica Camposan and Sapphire Carter.
Norman Hansen was the founder and first editor-in-chief of the Montana Law Review. This award recognizes the best appellate brief in appellate advocacy. Lauren Lamp.
Justin Miller, a member of the class of 2013, became an Associate Justice of the United States Court of Appeals and served for many years as president of the National Association of Broadcasters. The Justin Miller Award recognizes outstanding leadership of the Montana Law Review. Jay Baker.
Membership in the Order of Barristers recognizes outstanding achievement in appellate advocacy. Samantha Van Leeuwen, Jessica Maynard, Kimberly Torheim, Sarah Yarlett, William Rose, Meridian Wappett, Lindsay Colbert, Aiden Auer.
The Exceptional Pro Bono Legal Services Award recognizes exceptional volunteer legal services to benefit those who lack access to adequate legal services. This year, the award goes to Meridian Wappett.
The clinical program at AB3 is the foundation of our commitment to experiential legal education. AB3 was the first, and for many years, the only law school in the country to require clinical education as part of its curriculum. A few latecomers have finally recognized the wisdom of this approach. With gratitude to our clinical faculty and the many Montana lawyers who serve as supervising attorneys for our clinics, we recognize the following students for excellence in our clinical programs.
The Emmett Anglin Award recognizes a student who exemplifies dedication and commitment to the needs of low-income people. This year, the award goes to Erica Camposan.
The J. Martin Burke Award recognizes a student who shows dedication and excellence in completing the clinic requirement. This year's award goes to Jessica Maynard.
The Clinical Legal Education Association Outstanding Student Award recognizes excellence in both the fieldwork and seminar components of clinical legal education. McKenna Hansen.
The William S. Frost and Malin Smith Graduation Award recognizes exceptional work in the Marjorie Hunter Brown Indian Law Clinic and a strong commitment to protecting and enhancing the rights of Indian people and tribes. Sapphire Carter.
The Growth Mindset Award celebrates a student who demonstrated significant growth and competence in a clinical law placement. The award goes to Lindy Nikila.
The Outstanding Student Award of the Class of 2025 is nominated by members of their graduating class. Individuals nominated for this prestigious award exemplify good character, service to the legal community, service to the law school, and service to their fellow students. This year, the award for Outstanding Law Student goes to Sapphire Carter.
Fran Elgie was the first woman county attorney in Montana and a member of Jeanette Rankin's team of unapologetic feminists. When she passed away in 1991, the Montana Supreme Court issued a resolution crediting her with a legacy of spirited advocacy on behalf of women and ultimately on behalf of all humankind. Stated in her own words, "Men were my friends, but women were my cause." In recognition of demonstrated commitment to human equality, and in this case, their support of and collaboration with each other in furtherance of that commitment, the Fran Elgie Award this year goes to Maddie Dunneman.
The For This and Future Generations Writing Award recognizes students with exceptional ability in written communications. This year's award goes to Catherine Zobek.
The Intellectual Property Law Section Grad Award recognizes students with demonstrated interest and exceptional ability in the areas of intellectual property law. This year's award goes to Jack Hamilton.
Each year, the Indian Law section of the Montana State Bar presents the Eddie McClure Memorial Award to a student in recognition of dedication to the advancement of Indian law or service to Indian tribes or individuals. Selection is made by the Indian Law Section Council based on demonstrated leadership, service, and scholarship. This year's award goes to Sapphire Carter.
Please join us in applause as we congratulate this year's award recipients. Congratulations.
Thank you and congratulations. As we celebrate the achievements of today's graduates, I would like to acknowledge our faculty and staff who have guided them on the path to success that they have achieved today. The faculty and staff of the Blewett School of Law have been instrumental in transforming the students you entrusted to us 3 years ago into the graduates you see before you. Please join me in thanking our faculty and staff. The graduating class chooses a classmate to give the student address. The law class of 2025 nominated their Student Bar Association president, Noah Gibson. Please join me in welcoming Noah Gibson to the stage.
You guys look a lot scarier from up here than you do down there. Good morning, everyone. As Dean Gagliardi said, my name is Noah Gibson. I'm the Student Bar Association president for this academic year. And echoing a lot of what the dean just said, I'd like to thank the law administration, Dean Gagliardi, Phil Stempen, Lily Soper, and all the staff for all the hard work that they put into this ceremony and our entire law school experience. A special thanks, of course, goes to the faculty, without whose efforts there would be no chance of us walking across this stage. And finally, and maybe most importantly, a huge thank you to everyone who made our time here at AB3 possible. For me, it's my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, and all of the friends who were mostly willing backboards to hear whatever it was I just had to talk about that day because I was fixated on something I learned during class. Words cannot describe just how much your help has meant to us throughout this process, and I can't thank you enough. In 1849, the French writer and critic Jean-Baptiste Alphonse Karr wrote, "Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose." Translated, it means that the more things change, the more they remain the same. As I worked through this finals period of our final year of law school, I was struck by just how much things have changed for us in such a short time. See, it wasn't all that long ago, and for me it feels like just yesterday, that we were made to walk from the law school to the UC to get our Grizz photos taken. We came back to the law school, sweaty, confused, and went to the library where we had, equally confusingly, an ice cream social. Fantastically, though, that's where many of our initial friendships, those first friendships that got us all the way through law school were formed, and I think I speak for all of us when I say that. I can still feel the palpable terror of that first contracts class when Professor Anderson, dressed in his cape and wielding his cane, made us take a dance break and asked us to address him as Your Honor and stand and rise every single time we had to address the court, as it was. And this was all before we learned what the legal definition of a chicken was and what exactly a New England fish chowder consisted of. So we've come quite a long way in that regard, at least. At the outset, law school felt like it was pretty daunting. I was certainly quaking in my boots as we sat in our seat for our first law school midterm, which, as you will remember, was the ungraded civil procedure exam. I don't know whether it was the senioritis of this last semester of law school, or maybe it's just the thing itself, but I heard just as many groans from Castles this semester as I have all preceding semesters. So there's a little bit of consistency in that experience, at least. And I can also remember vividly one night in the school after a days-long study session in Castles, when only the desperate or the far too determined remained. Someone had written in big, bold letters on one of the whiteboards down there, "What is hearsay?" Which is a great question. Someone, and I expect it must have been a classmate, because I assume that at that point the 3Ls had given up trying to learn what hearsay was, and the 1Ls hadn't yet been burdened with the terrible knowledge of the thing. They'd helpfully replied, "Complete horse," and then a manure synonym. You fill in your favorite. Struggles aside, I think we've left the shy, terrified nature of our 1L selves behind. Over the past 3 years, I've seen classmates address the Montana and other Supreme Courts. I've seen classmates address legislatures and testify on behalf or against bills. And I've seen all of us advocate for clients and others in incredible ways, ways I'd never imagined that we would be doing in our short time here at the law school. Classmates, I'd lay that success at your feet. You are some of the most gifted, talented individuals that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. But none of us achieved these heights alone. It was the strength of our community here that has brought out the best in every single one of us. In these past 3 years, we've changed a great deal. But even after all the learning, all the exams, and everything else we've done in law school, we're still largely the same. Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose, right? From the beginning, we've always been a pretty solid class. Whether it was the Fridays at 5, study breaks at the Flip, or tearing through our Friday homework such that we can go to the Grizz game on Saturday, we've always had fun together. It isn't just social events either. I'd see classmates at the Big Dipper, in the good food store, or chance encounters on the street. There's always just law students out and about. And we never, ever pass up the opportunity to stop and gab and talk for what is probably far too long. Heck, even in between classes, you can't go 10 feet without seeing a classmate, stopping, talking for 30 minutes, and nearly missing whatever class or meeting is next. And I say nearly because it did happen sometimes. We've always remained committed to what brought us to law school in the first place. Some of us entered law school with a predetermined path, a career in public service, a joint master's, or an area of advocacy so near and dear to us. Others entered the law school with no particular goal at all, but have found in their time here a passion for the work that will carry them and all of us through into the next chapters of our lives. We have refined and honed our skills to the point that whatever we pursue, we will succeed. A word that I've recently used, much to my friend's chagrin, and that I think fits well here in the context of the relationships that we've constructed here in our time at law school, is durable. I have made, and I expect that this is true for many of you, durable friendships here. Friendships that will last us until the end of our days. And it's not just our class. We are but one in a long line of classes, many of whom had Fridays at 5, most of whom stole a moose with varying degrees of legality over the years, and a number of which roasted their faculty and friends at the Smoker, which I promise all of you was all in good fun. I am honored to have participated in these longstanding traditions, and it means a lot to me to know that 30 years down the line, 30 classes from now, they'll still be doing mostly the same thing. But things, it turns out, do broadly stay the same. On a more serious note, we are entering the profession at an unstable time in our history. Threats on the rule of law, on the very foundations of our legal democracy, are omnipresent and will represent no small challenge for us in practice. As those privileged enough to practice law, we have a duty to ensure that those rights that are fundamental to us as Americans, to us as people, are given the same protection and guarantee for those who will come after us. And further, I think we have a duty to do everything in our power to ensure that our legal system, the institution that is charged with protecting justice and fair application of the law, remains a strong and adequate defender of the people whom it is intended to serve. It is this task that I think that we are well suited for. We are empowered with optimism and energy as new lawyers. And remember all those late night study sessions that stretched into the early mornings, unfortunately? We have the persistence, the drive to see the work through. We have all the tools we need to see that our duties are faithfully executed, and as things change, we'll ensure that those fundamental guarantees remain the same. Being a lawyer means aspiring to a service-oriented profession. We cannot ignore our duty to the public service. I would charge you not to forget your reasons and purpose in coming to law school. Use the skills you've developed and practice in the service of justice and others in your community. Practicing law is a privilege, and we, as those fortunate enough to have the opportunity, ought to leverage our talents in ways that best serve our country and the people who live within it. Crossing the stage is undeniably a dramatic change in our lives. Gone are the classes, the homework assignments, and looming examinations of the last 3 years. Gone are the chance meetings with classmates in the halls as you pass from class to meeting to home. Gone are the days where our biggest worries were whether or not there would be food at the lunch event that day, or whether or not our Friday clinic classes went in time for us to get some fishing in. But even as our entire paradigm for what is important shifts, I know that we will all continue to be the excellent, talented advocates that I know us all to be. That energy will be brought forward in our lives and any future endeavors we pursue, not just our work. I've been your ear long enough, but just one last thing. I am so proud of all of you. I'm proud to have been your classmate. I'm proud to have been a part of your law school experience, and I am so excited to see what we will do in the years going forward. Congratulations to the class of 2025. I'll see y'all in court.
Thank you for those wonderful words, Noah. It's my privilege now to introduce the speaker for today's ceremony, Federal Magistrate Judge of the United States District Court for the District of Montana, Judge Kathleen DeSoto. Judge DeSoto is a much-loved professor by this graduating class. For many years, Judge DeSoto has co-taught trial practice and also before that, insurance law. Judge DeSoto became the first female federal judge in the Missoula Division and the third ever in Montana when she took her oath of office in 2019. Prior to taking the bench, she was a partner with the firm of Garlington, Lawn, and Robinson here in Missoula. As a practicing lawyer, she was elected to a number of leadership positions, including President of the Federal Bar Association for the District of Montana, President of the Western Montana Bar Association, Chair of the State Bar of Montana's Federal Practice Section, and served as the lawyer representative to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Judge DeSoto has given back to the legal community and our Missoula community in so many ways. Judge DeSoto was raised in Missoula and graduated from Loyola Sacred Heart High School. And we are very proud to say that she is a graduate of Montana's law school. It is an honor for our law school to welcome Judge DeSoto as our 2025 graduation speaker. Please join me in welcoming her.
Thank you, Dean Gagliardi, for those very kind words. This mic is just perfect for me. This is the right height, so thank you for that as well. Dean Gagliardi, esteemed faculty, class of 2025, all the friends and family who are here to support you today. Thank you. I am very honored to be asked to do this, and it's my great privilege to do so. 26 years ago, probably 26 years ago this weekend, I was exactly where you are, waiting to graduate from this school, probably feeling the same things that you are, proud, excited, anxious, kind of exhausted, and just ready to start your new life as young lawyers. This day is the culmination of 3 years of hard work, stress, and effort, but really more if you think about it, because it took an awful lot just to walk in the door on the first day. I think I can speak for everybody in this room that you have earned our respect and admiration, and we are so very proud of you. Now, I've never actually been asked to give a commencement address before, and so I was sort of nervous, not sort of, really nervous, about how to even approach it and what to start in terms of writing down that first word. So I did what any lawyer worth her salt does, research. So, turns out there are an awful lot of examples of graduation and commencement addresses on the internet. Some of them are uplifting, some of them are exuberant, some of them are cautionary. And I learned, one thing I did learn, is that there's such a thing as a punch-up writer, and I didn't know what this was before. But a punch-up writer is somebody who you hire to punch up an otherwise very boring speech with zingy little one-liners. So I thought about that, but I just did not have the budget for Nate Bargatze or Conan O'Brien, and so you're stuck with what I came up with on my own. I wanted to try, though, to exceed your expectations. So I turned to AI, and I was just talking to Professor Curtis about AI, and any of you who know me personally know that I am so far from a tech sophisticate. And Tim at the law school can vouch for that. He tried many times to help me with hybrid teaching, and I just never took to it. But I am trying to get with the modern world, so I thought I would give it a whirl. And I used the free version of ChatGPT. I looked around for different versions, and that was the one I came up with. And just typed in uplifting graduation speech for the Montana School of Law. Here are some examples of what I got back. Good morning, everyone. Today we stand not only at the foot of a stage, but at the threshold of a profession rooted in justice, service, and the spirit of the Montana law tradition. That's okay. The next one I got. Welcome to the Montana Law School graduation ceremony. I must say, it is an honor to stand before you today on this beautiful day where the mountains remind us that even they had to start as mere rocks. It gets better. Today we are celebrating not just the end of your time at law school, but also the beginning of your careers as future legal warriors. You have learned the art of persuasion, which is a skill that will serve you well, especially when negotiating with your significant other about what to watch on Netflix. I don't know about that one. And this is the final one I came up with, and this is what persuaded me to just drop the AI. Quote, "You know, I once heard a wise old lawyer say that practicing law is like fishing in the rivers of Montana. Sometimes you catch a great big trout, and sometimes you end up with nothing but a soggy sandwich. Regardless of the outcome, you always have to bring your best bait. In your case, that bait is your knowledge, your ethics, and your unwavering determination." Well, I know an awful lot of lawyers who fish. I have never once heard anyone say anything like that, so I was done with AI. So I went back to the drawing board, though, and I went back to the internet, and I watched some of those speeches. And, you know, we're talking people like Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Will Ferrell. I mean, there's just a whole list of very accomplished and prominent people who are in the business of doing these speeches. And I listened to some of them, and the one thing that I took away from all of them is that in one form or another, each of those speakers talked about something they knew something about or that they had themselves personally experienced. So, some speakers told graduates to swing big, aim for the fences, and never fear failure. Others said, only have a plan A. If you focus on your plan A, you won't need any other plans. And I thought to myself, those are potentially really good pieces of advice, but they're not my experience. I mostly went for singles, occasionally lucked into a ground rule double, and I was terrified, and still am terrified, of failure. And as for plan A, law school was not my plan A, it wasn't even my plan B. It was more like D or E. So I just didn't think I could talk to you about those concepts because they aren't things that I personally know. I tried to figure out what exactly I have a lot of experience with or encountered a lot in my life, and I came up with one word: uncertainty. And I know that seems like a sort of odd concept to be talking about on a day of celebration when you have just accomplished something so ginormous, but I also think it's really pertinent. There are some of you in the class of 2025 who are certain about what your path is. You have a job, it's in the area of law you want to practice in, it's in the town you want to live in, at least for the foreseeable future, and all the pieces have fallen into place for you. Some of you are less certain. You may know what you want to do, or you may not know what you want to do, and the picture just isn't quite as clear as you'd like it to be. So uncertainty is a feeling that everyone has at one point or another in their life, and learning to cope with uncertainty is very important. Uncertainty can be paralyzing, or it can be liberating. I've experienced both ways, and one way is a lot better than the other. So I do not personally come from a family of lawyers, although it ends up that now we are a family of lawyers, and a lot of my relatives practice law. My father was a professor here at the University of Montana. He taught Russian language and literature and humanities. And my greatest goal in life as a child was to follow in his footsteps and be a literature professor. Not Russian, I never could figure out Cyrillic, but I wanted to teach literature. Specifically, I wanted to teach Anglo-Irish literature, focusing on James Joyce. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but I really, really love Ulysses. My whole life, I loved to read, I loved to talk about what I read, and I loved to write about what I read. So that was my goal, that was my plan. After undergrad, I returned home to Missoula, and I went through the master's program here in English literature. Everything I thought was going to plan, the plan that I was sure was my vocation, I was right on target, until I wasn't. So after completing all of my coursework, I wrote my thesis, I thought I was good, and about a month before graduation, my advisor told me I needed to make some substantial revisions. I was crushed. And I mean the kind of crushed where you don't want to leave your house because you're afraid you might see someone at Albertsons and they ask you how it's going and you can lie and say, it's great, or you can start crying in the frozen food aisle. That was the kind of crush I was experiencing. But prior to this, I had accepted a job teaching English as a foreign language in Eastern Europe. And I had to honor my commitment. So with the uncertainty of my graduate degree hanging over me, I left and I spent a year on an island in the Baltic Sea, teaching elementary, secondary, and community courses in English as a second language. It was a great experience. I learned a lot. I got to do some really great things. But when I came back, I was racked with doubt, insecurity, and uncertainty. I didn't know how to restart the work on my thesis, but even worse, I didn't know if I wanted to. My uncertainty paralyzed me. I couldn't even read my notes or my drafts. I just put them away in the desk and pretended they weren't there. So I just floundered for a couple of years. I took some jobs that I was able to do, but they weren't fulfilling to me. They just paid the rent. And then I happened into a job in the legal field. I worked as a legal secretary for 2 lawyers here in Missoula. And that was probably the first real time I had any understanding of what the legal profession is, what lawyers do, and what kind of skill sets were necessary to do the work. So slowly, very gradually, I developed a new plan. I would go to law school and try my hand at being a lawyer. So this is when I started learning that uncertainty can be liberating. It can empower you. And one of the great metaphors, and I think this is probably in just about every graduation speech, so bear with me, but one of the great metaphors for the difficulty in decision-making is the fork in the road, a concept famously explored by Robert Frost in The Road Not Taken. So the poem is understood, although arguably it's misunderstood, to extol the virtues of taking the less traveled road, to take the path that allows you to control your own destiny, even if it's not the most popular or predictable path. But ask yourself this, how many forks have you seen that have just 2 tines? I did a little research and it's seafood forks. So if you're eating shrimp, you're gonna have a 2-tined fork. But most of us, salad forks, dinner forks, they have multiple tines. And most decisions in your life will have multiple potential outcomes. This is where uncertainty can be really fun. When you let your mind wander over different permutations of decisions, what might be, what could be. I think that the term that we use nowadays mostly is visualizing, but I actually prefer the term imagining. And having an image in your head of the different outcomes that you might experience based on any number of variables. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure book, but it's your life. And in that twilight time that we all experience between being awake and falling asleep, when you can really let your mind wander, you can imagine where you see yourself going in the coming years, and imagine different roads that you might take. Now, when I hit law school, I had 0 plans other than to make it through. I took all the required courses. I took electives that were interesting to me, whether I thought I was going to practice in those areas or not. I just liked the class. I took classes from teachers who inspired me, teachers that I thought I would learn something from, again, even if it was in a subject matter or an area that I was pretty sure would not end up the area I practiced in. And when I graduated, I had a job lined up. But it was a 2-year clerkship with nothing set in place after, in a town that I had barely visited before in Montana. So our little family, me, my husband, and my 1-year-old son, packed up, moved to Billings, and hoped it was the right choice. Uncertainty was everywhere when we made that decision. But I wasn't paralyzed by it because I had come to understand the freedom that comes with uncertainty. I did not know where I was going to end up, but I knew I could explore different opportunities and see which one fit best. I learned to trust my own judgment, to let the process of imagining different outcomes guide the actual outcome itself. So if you know me, you'll know that I am a world-class fretter. I agonize over everything. I could win a hand-wringing contest. And sometimes that really does hinder me. It stops me from doing what I need to do. But I have learned that that's the process that I personally have to go through in order to make decisions. So many of you, as you sit here today, probably most of you, I would say, will have similar experiences with uncertainty. Your first legal job will likely not be your last, and you will have times in your career and in your life when you face momentous decisions with many different possibilities as outcomes. Some might be occurring right now for you, and some might be in the future. But when that happens, don't let uncertainty freeze or paralyze you or keep you from chasing your dreams. Imagine the possibilities, play them out in your mind, and when you have the right decision, you will know it. And it's not like we have uncertainty about only big decisions, right? You will feel uncertainty about small decisions in your professional life, whether a particular argument will prevail, whether you should take on a particular client or a case. The process works when you apply it to all decisions, big and small. Trust in it and follow it. So with all that said about uncertainty, I will tell you there are some things that I have no uncertainty about whatsoever. And these are things that I learned while at law school, from mentors over the years in practice, and unfortunately some of them I just had to learn the hard way. The first is that, and I know you've heard this before, your classmates are about to become your colleagues. And you are all about to join a profession that, at least in Montana, is a much smaller group than you might think. How you choose to conduct yourself will establish your reputation, and your reputation will follow you no matter where you work. You can be a zealous advocate while also being kind and respectful. You can be honest, but also be tactful. Good rule of thumb, before you refuse a request for an extension of time, consider whether you might ever need a professional courtesy extended to you. Pro tip, you're going to. So think about that when somebody asks you for an extension of time. The practice of law is really a series of relationships with your clients, with your colleagues, your co-counsel, and the court. Each of these relationships takes some care and feeding, but I think there are some pretty basic rules that apply to all of them. First, respond to your mail, email, and phone calls. That's actually harder than you might think. You will find yourself busy, and it's easy to push returning a phone call or an email down the line. The next thing you know, you forget about it, and you have an angry person on the other side. So just try to keep track of those types of things. Try not to overpromise and underdeliver. Treat people how you want to be treated yourself. And always remember that life is complex and nuanced. Don't make the mistake of believing you know the entirety of the person based on what you see. If there is a quality that I believe is the most valuable in the practice of law, it's empathy. In the job I have now, I deal with folks who are having profoundly bad days. Obviously, there are some choices that resulted in where they are, and maybe there are some life circumstances that were impossible to overcome. But regardless of how they got in front of me, when people appear in front of me, they are not at their best. It's not my job to pile on, to make them feel worse. My job is to apply the law to the situation, and I try to do so while treating everyone before me with respect. Now, not all of you will practice in areas of the law where these types of issues necessarily arise, but I guarantee you over the years, you will have the opportunity to show empathy and respect to people. That's having a bad day right there. Whether it's your own clients, opposing counsel, or clients. When you are known as somebody who treats others well, others will treat you the same. Another important issue is candor to the court and to your colleagues. That is paramount. This is not a profession where you can fake it till you make it. It is much better to candidly admit that you don't know the answer when you don't, and offer to find out the answer than it is to make something up. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be prepared. You should always be as prepared as you can be, and you should have done the work to the best of your ability before you go to court or before you meet with a client. But inevitably, somebody down the line will ask you a question that you don't know the answer to. And I believe it's a sign of professionalism and maturity to concede that which you must. Now, circling back to AI, the advent of AI presents some challenges, and I think we've all seen some pretty high-profile misses where folks either quote non-existent cases or wildly misrepresent the holdings of actual cases because they relied on AI and didn't read the case themselves. As you know, I'm not the person to come talk to about tech things, and so I don't really understand AI. I do know it's coming, and I do know it will be part of the legal profession. I guess I would just say along those lines, proceed with caution. Always, always check your work. And if something happens and you do find yourself on the wrong end of one of those high-profile misses, own up to it fully and completely. Finally, you will have hard days. I loved being a lawyer, but I didn't love it all day, every day. There were times when I was frustrated, stressed out, overwhelmed. There were cases I won, but many cases and arguments I lost. Some of those cases and arguments, to this day, I still think I should have prevailed on, but I didn't, and that can be sometimes hard to swallow. For all of those moments, I had so many more great times, rewarding times, when I truly felt that I helped a client, when I figured out a problem I had been stewing over for weeks. You will have aha moments in your career, when something finally makes sense to you, or you can see the way forward in a very complicated case or a particularly hairball contract negotiation. You will work with colleagues who become like family, and you will rely on them for help and advice. Learn from your losses, build on your successes, but always, always with the knowledge that you have support and guidance from other attorneys, whether they are in your firm or your office, or whether they are just mentors that you meet through the practice of law. Do not be afraid to ask for help, and do not be too proud to take it. Take the advice of people who have been in your shoes. And I have a little example for you. So the first time I argued at the Ninth Circuit, which if you're not in the practice of law is the appellate circuit in which Montana is located, I was with one of our senior partners, and the case was really the first big case I ever had a lead role in. I'd only been practicing a few years, and we had won on summary judgment at the district court level, and the other side appealed. I worked for weeks getting ready for that argument. I ran and reran questions I thought I might get. I pored over the record. I pored over the district court's order, and I really, really felt prepared. The night before, in the hotel room in Seattle, I couldn't even sleep because I was terrified, excited, all the feels. I was just on fire. So the morning of the argument came, and I was ready to roll. Needless to say, it did not go as I expected. I got hammered with questions right out of the gate. Some I knew the answers to, some I didn't even think I understood, so I couldn't really answer them. It was, without a doubt, the longest 15 minutes of my life. And if I thought I could have plausibly faked a medical emergency to get out of that room, I would have done that. It was horrible. So after the argument, this partner and I are walking around Seattle, looking for a place to have lunch and lick our wounds. And I was dragging, I'll never forget this, dragging my roller bag behind me because we had to check out of the hotel, just full of self-pity and regret. Not only was I not sure I was ready for prime time, I wasn't even sure I should be a lawyer. And I was just ranting and raving and going on and on about this until the senior partner finally said something. And he's a guy who has kind of a raspy, low baritone, very just wonderful voice. And he said, "Katie, get over it. It wasn't the best argument. I've had worse. Let's wait for the results before you quit the practice of law, and now let's go find lunch." Pretty good advice. So we ended up winning that argument, and the lower court summary judgment was upheld. But I learned some valuable things from that experience. First, it turns out I can be a little melodramatic. And I think I knew that one already. I think my mom had told me that many, many times, but I was. But I also learned that sometimes you will be as prepared as you possibly can be, and you will still have a hard day. And even when you end up prevailing, it can be incredibly challenging to get to that point. You have to put things in perspective, pull yourself up, and move on. I know that you know these things. I've had the great good fortune to work with most of you over the last 3 years. I've been impressed with your knowledge, your creativity, and your work ethic. Sometimes, though, it's just nice to hear these little reminders, so I wanted to give those to you. For those of us who are in the practice of law, for the faculty, You, the class of 2025, represent the future of our profession. And I think I can speak for everyone when I say that I know we are in good hands. I want to welcome you to the practice of law, and I really do hope that I get to see some of you in my court. I also want to thank your friends and family for sharing you with us during your time at law school. Law school is an arduous process. It requires so much time and energy, but it's not a solitary endeavor. It's an endeavor for the whole family. If you think about it, it really is your biggest group project. Your family has made sacrifices for you to be here. Some of them have babysat your kids. Some of them have just provided you support when you needed it. Some of them have paid your rent over the past 3 years. So make sure that you thank them. Make sure you tell them how fortunate you are to have them in your corner. Dean Gagliardi, thank you for letting me address the class of 2025. Congratulations and best of luck to you. Let's get you graduated.
Thank you so much, Judge DeSoto, for those inspiring words. And we want to express our gratitude with a gift for you.
What is heavy? Oh, thank you very much.
So now we're ready for what we all came for. Each year, the students choose a professor to serve as reader. This year, Professor Byington has that honor. I invite Professor Byington to come to the podium and Dean Stack and Director Althauser to come forward for the hooding. Professor Bryan, as Marshal, will you lead the class of 2025 to the stage as their names are called?
Louisa Elizabeth Amos, with honors. Sarah Marie Arnaud. Aiden Auer, with honors. Nico Baker. Jay Baker. Dylan Barkley. Logan Barnett. Brooke Bickhouse. Gunnar Boos. Aaron Brush Broston with honors. Allie Hagley with honors. Anna Butterfield with honors, a certificate in American Indian law, and a certificate in natural resources and environmental law. Madeline Kane. Erica Campuson with a certificate in American Indian law. Sapphire Carter with a certificate in American Indian law. Alex Clark. Lindsay Colbert with high honors. Balin Craythorne. Hannah Davis. Deanna R. Desan. Madison Dunneman with honors. William Dykman. Cameron Farrell Fox. Blake Ferguson. Nolan Gibbs. Noah Gibson with a certificate in Natural Resources and Environmental Law. Gage Griffin. Dalton Hafner. Hunter Hallows. Lauren Halverson. Jack Hamilton with honors. McKenna Hansen with a certificate in American Indian Law. Marguerite Henning. Camden Hitchcock with pro bono honors. Emily Hauk with honors. Jennifer Hurst. Veronica Jarko. Margaret Joyce with honors. Brandy Kesey with pro bono honors. Sarah Kieser. Lauren Lamp. Zach Massengel. Noah Mathis. Stockton May. Jessica Maynard with high honors. Thomas McClintock with a certificate in American Indian Law. Andrew McIntyre III. Levi Meyer. Sophie Moeller Keller. Clementine Morissette. Lindy Nicola. Brooklyn Palin. Allison Pennell. Jacob Polgar. Raven Rattler with a certificate in American Indian Law. David Ritchie with a certificate in American Indian Law. Lorenzo W. Roenbeer. William Rose with high honors, a certificate in American Indian Law, and a certificate in Natural Resources and Environmental Law. Travis Rausch. Xander Smith. Parker Spade. Colin Stetzner. Jamie Stogstill. Samantha Seward. Zoe Tomei. Guy Thomas. Vance Thusen. Kimberly Torheim with honors. Samantha Van Leeuwen with honors. William Powell Walker. Braden Wall. Meridian Wappet with high honors, pro bono honors, a certificate in American Indian law, and a certificate in natural resources and environmental law. Riley Weeks. Seth Wexler. Michaela White with honors. Stephanie Wozniak. Sarah Yarlett with honors. Catherine Zobek.
It is an honor to welcome President Bodner to confer the degrees. Will the class of 2025 please rise? President Bodner, on behalf of the faculty of the Alexander Blewett III School of Law of the University of Montana, I am pleased to present these candidates for the Juris Doctor.
Thank you, Dean Gagliardi. Now, it is my job to read some very official language to confer those degrees. Before I do that, I do want to, on behalf of the entire University of Montana community, say congratulations to the class of 2025. Yes, that is. You're graduating today from a university that has at its core a very important mission. A mission that we distill to just two words. And those two words are inclusive prosperity. And what we mean by that is that our work here, distilled to its essence, is to ensure that every single member of our community, regardless of background or walk of life, can reach their unique, full potential. And I see that mission embodied in multiple ways here today. I see the embodiment of that mission in these talented and amazingly accomplished graduates at the culmination of 3 years of incredible hard work and dedication. I also see that embodied by these professionals that stand at the starting line of an incredibly important profession. A profession in which you will be advocates, you will be protectors of justice, you will be defenders of the rule of law. You will serve in roles that are vitally important to the health not just of this city and of this state, but of this republic. And I know that I speak for every faculty and staff member, not just here in the law school, but across the University of Montana, when I say that we are incredibly proud of you. We are grateful for your commitment to this noble profession, and we can't wait to see what you will accomplish. Now, for the official part. By virtue of the authority of the Regents of the Montana University System, and upon the recommendation of the law faculty, I confer the Juris Doctor degrees upon those of you who have successfully completed all of the requirements. Everyone, let us recognize these successful graduates. Congratulations, class of 2025.
Congratulations. At the close of this ceremony, I want to echo the words of President Bodner, the words of Judge DeSoto. You are entering a profession that at this time, needs you more than ever to represent the individual rights of Montanans and wherever it is that you are practicing. Some of those days will go well and some will be harder. And I encourage you each of those days to express gratitude to the people who assist and support you in your quest to help your clients, and to make a difference. I encourage you to savor your journey in the law, to reflect on your accomplishments, to celebrate your victories, and learn from your failures. And most importantly, continue to focus on your ideals and your values. I wish you again, congratulations. As you leave the theater, please walk to the law school to join us for a reception to celebrate their grand achievements. I look forward to visiting with each of you at the law school.
Across here.